Students, in this video, we would be discussing about the various concepts of vendor process capability and material handling. Before going into detail, let us understand why vendor is very important for any organization. As we know, the current scenario, we have very tough competition. Each and every market player want to capture the market share of the other organization. And the success of every organization depends on how fast a firm can respond to the demand of the customers. Now, how fast an organization respond to the demand of the customers depends up to a certain extent on the manufacturing of the product on time. And the manufacturing of the product on time, again up to a certain extent, depends on the supply of the material. When we are talking about the supply of the material, so there the vendors comes into picture. So directly or indirectly, a success of any organization up to a certain extent depends on the performance of the vendor. Whether the vendor is supplying goods on time, whether the vendor is supplying quality product, whether the vendor is able to supply product as per the latest modification with latest upgradation. So if all these features are available with the vendor, then an organization uh, would be able to survive in the market. So vendor plays a very important role. So when we know that vendor is playing a very important role, so we are trying to find it out through vendor process capability whether a vendor would be able to perform or not, or what are the various features that a vendor should have so that we can say that vendor is good enough and he would be performing well. So through vendor process capability, we are ensuring that a particular vendor is good enough. What are the various features that a vendor should have? On on those features basis, we can say a vendor would be performing as per our requirement. Now we should understand the meaning of the process. A process is a unique combination of tools, material, methods, measurements, and the manpower engaged in production process. Right. So what we're talking about process as a system where all the material, all the equipment, and all the resources are being interacted with each other, and a final output is being produced. So that is known as process. So process is a kind of system. Now, what does process capability means? The process capability means how well a process can produce a desirable results. So the process which we have placed into our organization, whether that process would be able to give us desired results or not. If a process is able to give us desired result is known as process capability. Means that process is capable to give us desired results. So when we add vendor to it, so we are trying to say the vendor would be able to perform as per our requirement. So that is known as vendor process capability. There are certain features that a vendor process capability should have. The first is accountability for quality issues. So vendor should be accountable or should accept if there is any kind of quality issue in the product. He should accept that these are the issues and he should take corrective actions so that the defect could be corrected. If a vendor is not accepting the error in the product, in that case it will be difficult for organization to deal particular vendor in future, and the existing condition would get worse. So we should deal with a particular vendor who held himself accountable for the quality issue if there is any in the product. Suppose you have bought uh, t-shirts from a particular vendor. Suppose you are a retail outlet and you have bought certain t-shirts from the vendor. And what you have find after checking all the units of the t-shirts, you find that there is a thread that is visible on almost 50% of the t-shirts. And if you contact and inform the vendor that this is the issue with the goods which you have supplied, it has thread which is visible, very much visible. You should correct it, and you should correct it so that this thread won't be visible to the customer. Now you could be having two type of vendors. First category of vendor would accept it, right? There's a issue. So you can supply back to me, I will correct it and resupply it to you. Or second category of vendor would say, oh, not a big issue. It's simply a thread. So it won't be a big deal with the customer. So he would be accepting the customer will be accepting it. So there is no such issue, and we are not going to correct it. So we have supplied. That means we have supplied, right? So you are having two types of vendors. So we would always like to deal with first category of vendor who held himself accountable for any kind of quality issue and take reasonable steps to correct all those quality issues. Next, you want to ensure the production capabilities of the vendor. All the vendors claims that they are having a very good manufacturing capacity. Any order that would be given to a vendor would be manufactured and supplied on time. All the vendors claim same thing. But how come you're going to ensure that a particular vendor would be able to supply desired goods or not, on time or not, desired quantity or not? For that, you need to have a visit and audit of the vendor plant. To know the production capabilities of the vendor, you should visit the vendor plant of the vendor to ensure that whatever claim he is making is genuine or not. Whether he is having a advanced technology or not, whether he is having enough workforce to manufacture goods or not, whether he is having enough machinery to manufacture goods or not, whether he is having enough inventory of raw material to manufacture goods or not. So you are going to ensure whatever claim is being done by the vendor. So you would be visiting the plant and making an audit and verifying all those claims. Suppose you would require to you must be requiring some unique product. So in case of requirement of unique product, how to ensure whether a particular vendor would be able to manufacture that product or not. So you would be asking a vendor to manufacture a simple product, and through viewing and examining a simple product, you would be able to know whether a vendor would be able to manufacture same product in bulk or not. So that's how you are going to verify the production capabilities of the vendor. So next we are having expertise in your product type and target market. So you must deal with a particular type of vendor who is experienced enough or having expertise of supplying goods to the target market which you are supplying to. So if a vendor is experienced enough, he knows the market condition, he knows the customer preference, and accordingly he is supplying the raw material to you. So it will be a great ease for you, and it will be giving you operational efficiency also. So expertise in your product type and target market would be one of the feature of vendor process capability. Next, we are having culture fit. Culture fit means the working style, the objective of the vendor and the organization should be in line. So they're having a same kind of philosophy, they're having a same kind of working style. If two organizations have same kind of philosophy and same type of working style, one is buyer, other is supplier, so they would be having a great long-term relationship. So before going in selecting a vendor, it is ensured that the culture of the vendor is somehow same that the buyer organization has. So culture should be fit with each other. So when we are looking for a vendor process capability, so one of the feature that we are looking for is cultural fit. Both the organizations' culture should be aligned. Last point is ease of communication. It is very essential. Two parties must have very prominent and very easy communication system. If communication is not easy, if lots of hurdles are there, lots of hierarchy is there, the person whom to contact with is not easy to contact to, so the communication would get distorted. In case of distorted communication, you cannot have a very easy and very friendly and very long term relationship. So when you are going and ensuring a particular vendor is selected, so through vendor process capability, you are trying to verify that there is a ease of communication. You can communicate your requirement easily, you can communicate any error easily, and you can welcome any kind of feedback easily. So there must be a proper communication system, and that should be very easy to communicate to